Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paris, a State of Mind. Join us as we talk about the good, the bad, the ins, the outs of property rentals and purchases in and around Paris. We'll have topics for renters, owners, visitors, share questions we are regularly asked, and more. My name is Gail Boisclair, one of the hosts for this podcast, and I'm originally from Canada, but have been living in Paris since 2001. Long time, 20 years. Holy cow. Anyway, I accidentally got into the property business, renting out apartments to people coming and wanting to experience life as a Parisian. And my co-host and partner in crime, is the wonderful Marie. Marie, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Gail. So yes, partner in crime. I have to say that I started the business subletting my own apartment in Paris, which is absolutely not legal unless you have the right from your owners. So I did that because I needed to make some money when I was just after my studies and everything. And then I started to think about why don't this become maybe a job? So I was at the beginning welcoming tourists in Paris. So after a while, I did everything I needed to be a real estate agent. And so I've been in the business since 15 years. Yes, or I think no, it's 16. Sorry about that. Little mistake. And since then, yes, working in Paris and in love with Paris as well, and working the sales, rentals, furnished, and that's where we met.
Unlike you're a real estate agent. I am not. Called a service provider. Today, I want to tell you about how I got to this city. It wasn't my lifelong dream to come to Paris. In fact, I didn't even want to come. I said, I only like Montmartre. The rest of Paris, forget it. But then I ended up meeting some charming Frenchmen, aren't they all, they say, and ended up coming to Paris after living in the Caribbean for 4.5 years. So I came here in 2001 because of my partner at the time. And so I was married to a Frenchman, divorced from a Frenchman, and I'm still living here and surviving to tell the tale. But that's how I got to Paris. And Marie, my co-host, how did you get to Paris?
So as a French, it was a bit, the way to was a bit shorter than yours. I have been first in New York when I ended up my studies, I did an internship in New York. So I actually started by that as an expatriate. And when I came back, I had the chance to find a job in Paris. So I grew up in the suburbs. So I knew Paris before, but it was very good. And I was very excited when I got my first apartment and to stay and live in Paris, finally.
It's funny that we both bring from different angles an expatriate's point of view. You being a French person that lived abroad and, well, me being an abroad person that lives in Paris. I'm just abroad.
Not sure we should call you that name the next step.
Well, I guess now, all jokes aside, I think a lot of people really always wonder to themselves, wow, I would love to move to Paris, whether it be for pleasure, for work, for studies, what have you. But the big question is how the heck do you find an apartment in this city? And I think that's what we really want to focus on today, how to find a bloody apartment, So a question that I would have to ask to somebody who lives here would be like, should I find an apartment before I arrive in Paris?
I would say it depends on the length of your stay. If you are going to stay here for a long term, maybe you'll find a temporary home before then trying to find your permanent place once you are in Paris. So the temporary home can be like an hotel, for example, for a few days, or Airbnb, or this kind of tourism vacation rentals, like a very short stay, and then take the time to find your permanent home. But if you are going to come and to crash for 3, 4, 5 months, maybe you are not going to spend that much time looking for a place, and maybe booking from distance may be a good option.
Yeah. And do you think that as a foreigner, and maybe even a foreigner who doesn't master very well the French language or terminology, do you think that I can find an apartment on my own?
Sure, it's everything is possible in Paris, as we said. You can find some Facebook group with expatriate people. You can find some direct some places or paper where you can have some contact with directly with owners without agencies, agent or like service company that can provide with apartments in Paris. Of course, you'll save some fees. It's for sure. But maybe in order to be safe and to make sure that the property is legit, it may be a good way to pass through an agent or through a service company that is legit. I'm not saying that just only because I'm a real estate agent and I prêche pour ma paroisse, as we say in French. It's just that I know that sometimes it's complicated when you are a foreigner and you are always afraid to be scammed and to have like apartment that don't exist or owner that are not actually owning the place and so it's either you find with word to mouth and with people who live already in Paris and who can recommend you an owner who can rent you an apartment. If you are not sure, if you don't know anyone, I would suggest to pass through a company that is legit.
And how do you find so you're saying an agent really is a good idea. So how do you find an agent that could help you, that's a good option? And what will that agent help you with?
When you pass through a company, usually, especially when you don't speak the language, they will help you in setting up the viewings. They will help you also in the paperwork gathering because it's maybe we'll talk about that later. But it's we do love paperwork. We do love all this stuff. So it's a good thing to have someone who can help you. And they will, of course, assist you in the lease signatures because it's important to know if the lease is valuable. It will be in French. The only value is in French. So if you sign a contract which is in English, it will be a problem. You can have a specimen in English. You can have like a draft in English, but you cannot sign the final document in order to have something that is strong and safe for you. So it's good to have someone who can assist you. So you have to make sure that your agent is also able to speak English in order to explain you exactly what is the involvement and what are the consequences of the lease signatures.
And so a lease, if somebody offers you a lease then in English, it technically wouldn't be a valid lease. Like it doesn't apply to French law because it's in French. I guess it could be bilingual though. No?
Yeah, if you do have like an official translation from a traducteur assermenté, which would be like very, very official, then of course the lease will be valid. But this usually costs a lot. When you do this kind of translation, it's most of the time like when you purchase an apartment, you have to the compromis and everything you do pass through this kind of traducteur.
And so what if somebody, I don't know, an owner, an agent, or who knows what, somebody asked me to pay rent in advance and to sign a contract, and I'm still in, I don't know, Toronto or New York. There's no way that I've actually seen the apartment, but they're asking for money up front and they're asking me to sign a document up front.
So this for me, it can be a warning if you don't pass through a legit company. Because for me, when you pass through I often have people who book from distance. They don't have the time. Their stay will be too short, or they want to make sure they secure a place before they arrive because they don't want to be walking around without a place. So, of course, I will ask people to sign a lease because this is the contract and this is how you secure a place. And of course, I will ask the tenant to pay in advance. They will pay the damage deposit. They will also pay probably like the month's rent. Maybe it will be prorated if it's like in the middle of the month. So it's not unusual to ask for a payment in advance. But this is only working if on the other side you have checked that the company is legit, because we always hear about people who send money and then they arrive and there is nothing on site. So this is important. This is rare. So it's I don't want people to be frightened in order to say, okay, when I'm coming to Paris, there is a lot of scam. No, it's rare, but I'm sure you don't want to be one of those who fell into this. So it's good to, you can book in advance, you can send the money, and the contract would be, if the apartment is not as in on the contract, you have always means in order to get your money back and to eventually discuss an argument with the company who booked the apartment for you.
I actually have a story about that. There was this one time way back in the day. Do you know Craigslist?
Yeah. I started with putting some ads on Craigslist.
Well, like back in the day, I did use Craigslist sometimes to look for renters and so on and so forth. But then one day there was somebody that apparently, well, the guardian, the caretaker of the building, the concierge, she contacted me because there was somebody there that was trying to get into the apartment. And she said she wouldn't let them in because there were renters in the apartment. And so these people started making a whole big story with the guardian of the building. She called and explained what happened. So apparently, the people that came into the building, they were scammed by somebody on Craigslist. Somebody had copied all the photos and description of our apartment, and they had apparently asked these people to send money by Western Union and said to go to the apartment at whatever day. And so it was a complete 100% scam. And anyway, the people finally contacted me, the ones that were scammed, and I said, I'm sorry, but it should have triggered something if you're being told to send money by Western Union, and also the price was like too good to be true. And
This is exactly what I was going to say. Like, if the price is too good to be true, you don't go there. It's like we can have this kind of people who have. If I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I heard about people who it was the same. Like, the price was like 500 euro for an apartment, and so people came, and the person in front said, "Okay, you have to pay now plus the damage deposit, and I give you the keys." And the guy, in fact, wasn't even the owner, and so he was renting like 3 times during the day, and then he just vanished. So
oh my
it's the
God.
price too good to be true is like a big flag, red flag, when you see like a very low price.
I always say that it's the same though, like with the, as we call them in English, get rich quick schemes. If really there were get rich quick schemes, then everybody would be rich, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway, not everybody is rich. We'll be right back with Paris, a state of mind, after a word from our sponsors.
While walking the streets of Paris, do curious details ever catch your eye? The city has a myriad of lieux cachés, or hidden places, and we uncover the most intriguing ones on the Paris Cachet podcast. If you're keen to explore Paris on a deeper level, then join Paris Cachet host Lily Heisey and a cast of zany historical figures from queens to angry mobs as we traverse the city and the centuries on our quest to discover the surprising stories behind these lieux cachés. The Paris Cachet podcast is available every other Sunday on Paris Underground Radio. Visit parisundergroundradio.com/pariscachet to listen and subscribe.
To flâne is far more than to wander, and bonjour means way more than hello. Discover these and more words that teach us what makes the French so French with Navigating the French, Sundays on Paris Underground Radio.
And now back to Paris, a state of mind. But getting back on topic, since I took us off topic with scams. So if somebody really wants to see an apartment, though, and they're not in Paris, I guess what can we suggest? Can they do some sort of virtual visit and things just to put them more at ease?
Yeah, sure. You can have you can ask agent may have like already film virtual viewings. Sometimes it's even like a 3D, and you can even pass from a room from another and everything. So not all the companies will have that, but you can also, we often do that. We do like a FaceTime. So we go on site, and we call the tenant, and then we just view the apartment at the same time. So it's not like we're not going to see all the details, but it's a way to be reassured that, okay, there is a real person on the other side, and that the apartment is real, and it's matching the pictures that we have seen online. So it's a good way to do that, and it's a good way to at least be reassured on the apartment itself.
Yeah. that they can actually rent it out. And well, I guess at that point, if you found an apartment that you like, what can somebody expect in terms of utilities and so on and so forth to figure out what their costs are actually going to be? It's like, okay, it's €2,000 a month, but what does that include, for
Yeah,
example?
you have to always make sure that the numbers are correct before you do any viewings or any bookings. Like, am I going to have any surprise at the end of the month with some additional fees? The rent are without the VAT, so you should have the rent, but the rent is a portion of the rent, and there is a portion of the building utilities that are charged on the tenant. Meaning, like, for example, you are not going to pay as a tenant, you are not going to pay if the roof is repaired or redone, but of course you will pay a little bit of the cleaning of the common area, of the, I don't know, maybe the superintendent, or maybe like the electricity that are used for the elevator. Or the elevator would be like, when you have an elevator, usually the utilities are a bit higher. So you have to make sure that the price is charged, utilities included. But utilities is not electricity. Often, people from abroad, and especially we were used to work with people from North America, people thought that utilities is also gas and electricity. And they thought that if it's included, it's good. But no, it's not. It's usually never included, and you pay according to the usage. But I do believe that from what I know, it's a bit cheaper than in US, for example, electricity. So this is a good thing. And yes, make sure that you have asked all these kind of questions before, if there is any additional fee, cleaning fee, or something like that. So you don't waste your time once you do the physical viewings, or even though the virtual, like you are going to spend some time checking for the apartment. Okay, if there is an additional €200 per month, maybe you are not going to go ahead.
And so those type of utilities that are not like electric and gas within the apartment that are related to the building, is there a special term that people should know that it's called? Like in their contract, is there a term for that?
Uh, Normally in the contract, at least in mine, but I don't know how, maybe it can be different. But I usually confirm by on the contract that it's not included and this will be charged. So there is two ways of charging them when I do that. It's either you are going to be there for a long term. So the best is to take a contract under your name for the electricity, gas, and everything. So everything is charged directly on you, and you manage the things. If you are going to stay for a shorter time, like 4, 6 months, something like that, you have to check if you are going to pay according to the usage based on the meters that you are going to check, or if the owner or the agent expect you to take a subscription. So it's important to know that, because if you don't speak the language and people tells you, okay, you do have to take your own subscription for electricity and gas, you may not be very comfortable. So it's important to ask for that also upfront in order to know if it's possible or not.
And I guess finally, if somebody doesn't know anyone in Paris, and they don't know where to start, how can they find a company that they can trust, that's an honest, legitimate company?
I would say that once you see a company name, you have to check online to see if there is any reviews, and if there is any documents, and if they are here since a long time or not, or if they have like a specific accreditation on their website, like if they have if they are registered in France. Not that company not registered in France are not good, but it's little details that are important to know before you sign the contract. And I would say that if you are looking for a furnished rental, I would suggest to go on the SPLM website. I'm sure that we can put on the details the link, because it's companies who are of course verified and who do furnished rentals in all over France. So you can find people who do really short stay, like vacation rentals, but also temporary stay or long-term rentals, and it's all furnished. So it's a good way to go and to find a legit company. So of course there is surely many other in France, but it's really important to make sure that you get all the details before you sign a contract. So did you learn a lot today, Gail?
Oh my goodness, I did indeed. It's a learning process every day. So I guess Never, ever send money by Western Union. Red flag, red flag, red flag. If it seems too good to be true, it is. And always make sure you know what your price of the rental includes. Make sure that you're working with somebody that's got good reviews. It is an honest company or individual. And that's actually, that I think is an advantage on social media. You can either look them up for Google reviews, or you can post on Facebook, and you can even search. I mean, I find sometimes if I'm not sure about a renter, if I have some question, then I'll do searches for them on social media too. They may be looking up me, but I'm looking up them too.
Okay.
So I guess the most important thing is everything can be done in advance if they want, as long as they check their sources and make sure that they're working with a correct, responsible, honest person. So I guess that's great, and I'm done now, right? I can find an apartment.
Not really. Yeah, I think that you missed a point in that we do love paperwork in France. I know that it's complicated sometimes. It will be probably our next episode, but the one of the big piece of the process will be to prepare your tenant file, and what are the documents they will ask you to, why are they going to ask you to, what documents you shouldn't send and they shouldn't ask you. There is a lot to say about that. So no, you have done the first step, which is very good, and then we have to prepare the tenant file while we view, for the ones who are going to view directly on site. I'm sorry, but this is a process that can be done in the meantime. But you have to be prepared to do a lot of paperwork. But the good side is that when you are a tenant in France, you are always it's a big process, but then you are very much protected once you have signed the lease and once you are in the apartment.
Oh my God. Well, Marie, I thought I had it all down. I thought I learned everything I needed to know. And now I'm just realizing I'm just opening a can of worms. I've got a big old paperwork thing to file. So yes, this was great information. You taught me a lot, but I realize that I have a lot more to learn. And I think absolutely our next podcast is going to be teaching me how, and everybody else, how to prepare a tenant file. Oh my, I think, is there a glass of wine somewhere around here? Oh, maybe I need something stronger, like whiskey, vodka on the rocks. I don't know. I think I have to sign off. I think this was great, but I got to fix myself a drink now, because now I know that I've got a whole lot of paperwork that I have to think about, and I don't even know what I have to think about. Thank you very much, Marie, for all of this.
Thank you, Gail. It was a pleasure to talk to you another time.
Yes. See you soon, virtually. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Paris, A State of Mind, featuring Gail of Perfectly Paris and Marie of Loquim, both who are founding members of the SPLM. Paris, A State of Mind is produced by Paris Underground Radio. The music, Jazz in Paris, is by Media Right Productions. For more information on this show and others, go to parisundergroundradio.com.